A reunion 20 years after graduating from high school. The friendly atmosphere suddenly changed due to his remark,
"Working at a small college in the countryside. Seriously, you can see the difference in class."
David, an old classmate, looked down on me with a mocking tone. Now, David is an elite professor at one of America's top Ivy League universities. It seems he built strong connections with other professors to get to this point. And he looked smug, as if he had finally avenged all the past slights. That's right. Back in high school, David always had a competitive spirit against me. The high school I attended was well known for sending several students to top universities every year. Not only in the school, but I also excelled in nationwide mock exams. I was also recognized in math competitions and physics contests. And the one who saw me as a rival was my classmate, David.
"Darn it, next time I'm going to be too."
Every time the grades were posted, David would shout at me. I had no intention of competing with him. I was always annoyed by his antics. Maybe he didn't like my attitude because he started to pick on me even more. Knowing I wasn't good at sports, he'd challenge me to sprints to show his dominance, and finding out I wasn't a good singer, he purposely recommended me for the lead vocal just to annoy me. Of course, I received a failing mark from the music teacher and ended up singing in the chorus. Luckily or unluckily, neither David nor I were particularly good-looking or smooth talkers, so we could not compete in the number of women who came to us for courtship or dates. Although I found David's constant challenges annoying, there was something admirable about his passion. But no matter what, he just couldn't beat me academically and always felt frustrated. After high school, I went to an Ivy League university in New York. Coincidentally, or maybe intentionally, David went to the same university. Moreover, we were in the same department. We each joined research groups of rival professors and threw ourselves into our research as if we were competing. Later on, both David and I pursued our PhDs. After completing that, I was lucky enough to become an assistant professor, thanks to a recommendation from my mentor. On the other hand, David became a postdoc, aiming for an assistant professor position while accumulating research achievements. Again, David, resenting the gap between us, would find fault with me whenever he saw me on campus. Then, a turning point came. I got a call from my mom saying that my grandma had hurt her back. Whether to take my grandma in, have my mom quit her job to live with her, or to commute weekly to take care of her. A family meeting was called. I'll live with grandma. Everyone opposed the idea, thinking it was a waste for me, who had gone all the way to a top university and secured a job, to give it all up. But no family members stepped up to take care of grandma. Honestly, the name of the university didn't matter to me. As long as I could do research, I didn't mind if it was at a university or a research institute. What mattered to me was having a place to immerse myself in research. When I told this to my mentor, he regretfully connected me with a professor teaching at a university near my grandmother's house in Nebraska. The academic world is surprisingly small, and connections matter more than anything. I met with a professor I was introduced to, and within 30 minutes, I was offered a position as a full-time lecturer there. Currently, I'm serving as an associate professor. One day, I received a direct message on social media from a high school classmate, John. He mentioned organizing a reunion. Since I moved here, I hadn't attended any reunions. My research kept me busy, and being far away played a part. Plus, both my parents had passed away, and I had no family home to return to. Normally, I'd decline, but coincidentally, I had a trip to New York in 2 days. My research was on a break, and it was during the university's vacation. I thought, why not pop into the reunion? The venue for the reunion was a ballroom in a top-tier hotel in the city. Unlike me, my former classmates had a certain energy, an atmosphere that was alive and well in the urban jungle.
Finally showing your face.
John, noticing me, called out, After graduating from the same university's law department as me, he passed the bar exam 2 years later. He worked in a law firm in the city and had started his own firm 2 years ago.
Mike and Larry are here too. Mike works at a university hospital, and Larry is an accountant.
John introduced. Most of them had jobs like federal employees or assistants to politicians. As we were reminiscing, David approached saying, "Look who's here."
Heard you left our university and went teaching in a small college in countryside.
There was a clear mocking tone in his words, but I responded without hesitation. Yeah, I'm grateful to be in an environment where I can focus on my research. David laughed out loud.
Teaching in a small college in countryside. Clearly, we're not in the same league.
He still keeps trying to one-up me.
I became a young professor at a prestigious university. I started as an assistant, built connections with professors and worked my way up. Bet you regret leaving now.
He had a smug look on his face, as if he had finally avenged past humiliations.
I knew you kept trying to reach out to me, but it's too late to come back now. You must regret quitting college back then.
It seemed he had misunderstood something. No regrets. The time I got to spend with my grandma before she passed was invaluable. David, not getting the response he expected, turned red.
Country bumpkin, get out of here.
He splashed his drink in my face. As everyone looked on in shock, John handed me a handkerchief and stepped forward to David.
Throwing water is assault, you know. We have many witnesses here.
Whether or not it would legally qualify as assault was another matter, but David was clearly taken aback. I'll leave. One reason I had attended the reunion was to meet David directly, but this wasn't worth it. I apologized to everyone and left. 2 days later, at the conference venue, a pale David approached me aggressively.
Did you know this would happen? Were you this confident back then?
Today, my paper was published in a globally renowned academic journal known for its strict peer review. I had noticed earlier that David was researching the same topic. I didn't know if my paper would be accepted then, but I tried contacting him about it, only to be ignored.
How could you advance your research this much in a small college in countryside?
Although in countryside, my university's research facilities were world-class. Not only from the government, but also from local businesses, the university received substantial funding. With fewer researchers, each one of us had a generous research budget. Then, I was able to fully immerse myself in my research. I was surprised that David, researching in the same field, knew so little about my institution or its resources. Upon hearing my explanation, David was dumbfounded. I've been working tirelessly on my research amidst limited research funding and dealing with college administration and mundane tasks. After all the effort to get to this point, you're telling me you beat me to the punch. Timing and speed are everything when announcing research. Even if you've done years of research and produce results at the same time, only the one who presents it first is recognized and praised. The one who lags behind, their research becomes worthless. That's why I tried to contact you so many times. My words startled David. He then grimaced and left the hall. David never returned when it was time for his presentation. Presenting David's research now would be in vain, as there was no way he could surpass my results that had already been published. Unable to face his defeat, David ran away. Later, I heard that David was suspended because he skipped his presentation. My paper became a hot topic worldwide, and not only was I invited to give lectures domestically but also abroad. Moreover, I received offers to join as a visiting professor from the university where David worked and from several universities abroad. Of course, I was grateful, but I turned down all of their invitations. While working in this research facility, I set a goal. I wanted to create an environment where students could freely conduct their research. Currently, many universities have reduced research funds. In addition to it, students have to be mindful of factions and professors and are saddled with administrative tasks, making it hard to focus on research. I aim to provide young researchers a place where they can dive deep into their work. Eventually, my research was acknowledged, and I was promoted to head of the facility, taking the first step towards my goal. At that moment, an unexpected visitor came to see me. It was David.
I regret the way I acted towards you. I was jealous of your talent. That's why I couldn't accept your messages. Look where that got me. I'm truly sorry.
When David was reinstated after his suspension, he was ostracized by his professors and colleagues who had once supported him. Students who used to respect him now ridiculed him. Life became unbearable, and he resigned. Though I had always outperformed David, I knew he had worked harder than anyone behind the scenes. His papers had a unique perspective which intrigued me. In fact, a study I published had been inspired by one of David's previous papers. How about working with me at this research facility? Here, you can immerse yourself in research even more than before. I could use your help. Upon hearing my words, David broke down crying, nodding vigorously. And so David became my colleague. At times we argued over differing views, but for me it was stimulating and provided fresh insight. Since being acknowledged and becoming head of the facility, I lacked a counterpart to challenge me. David's presence became invaluable. I look forward to working alongside David as a great rival and friend, pushing each other to greater heights. Together, we'll nurture the next generation of young talents. With that in mind, we continue to have fulfilling days at the research facility.